So what's a life estate? Well, folks, to break this concept down into simple terms, it's a way to hold title to real estate for the lifetime of a person. Usually that person is one of the title holders. This is what's also referred to as a concurrent tenancy, meaning title to real estate in the name of more than one person. Now, for some of the other videos that I have shot in the past talking about other types of concurrent tenancies, make sure that you check out the links below in the description. Now back to a life estate. So it is a concurrent tenancy, so more than one person is on title. Now, there are different ways to form life estates. One way is through your will. You could simply grant a life estate to one of the heirs in your will, and that would be formed through the probate court once the will is introduced to the court. Another way to form a life estate is through trusts, in trust language. So the provisions inside a trust can actually create a life estate. But let me tell you the way I normally see life estates and how they're so useful in estate planning. I'll give you an example. Mom comes in and she has a piece of real estate and she wants to leave it to her two children, her son and her daughter. What mom will then do in a simple format would be to grant or to create a deed. And that is the third way which you can create a life estate. She would create a deed granting all of her right, title, and interest to her children. But she would reserve a life estate for herself. So what that would mean is all three people would be named on title. Mom would have the ability to live at the property. She could pay the taxes, maintain the property, pay the insurance, do everything that she normally does as an owner of the real estate for her lifetime. When she passes away, by operational law, it goes to her children. Now, the way I use these types of concurrent tenancies, these life estates, is I will use these in an estate plan. And if mom comes in and she wants to plan for Medicaid, or in Massachusetts, Mass Health, then what we will do is create an irrevocable trust, because that's what Medicaid accepts. And we will transfer title to the irrevocable trust and reserve a life estate for mom. So now with life estates, there are pros and cons. First, the pros. When mom forms a life estate in our example, she's turning her house into a non-probate asset. So when she passes away, as I mentioned before, title to her real estate will pass to her children, her son and her daughter, by operation of law. And there'll be no judge necessary, no probate court necessary, and it won't flow through her will. Now, what's another benefit to life estates? Well, when mom, in our example, reserves a life estate for herself and makes a transfer of the real estate, she actually starts the 5-year clock ticking for Medicaid for the look-back period. So when she makes the transfer, once that clock starts ticking, if 5 years then pass and mom needs long-term care or nursing home care, Mass Health or Medicaid can look at the asset, but that asset is no longer lienable for Mass Health purposes. Mass Health cannot recover, in other words, against the real estate. So that's benefit number 2. Benefit number 3 is when mom passes away after reserving the life estate, the children would then receive a step up in the basis of the property. So with the step up in the basis of the property, what that basically means is when mom passes away, title will transfer to her children by operational law, like we mentioned, and the children would then receive the value of the property at fair market value at the time of her passing, as if they purchased it for fair market value at the time of mom's passing. And if the property is then sold down the line, there will be very small capital gains or no capital gains at all, because the basis had been stepped up to the time of mom's passing. And now for the cons. Well, first and foremost, mom loses some of her independence with the real estate, right? She's adding someone on title to her real estate with her, whether it be her children or her trust. There is another entity or another couple of people on title with her. So she loses some of her independence. If mom wants to do something with the house down the line in the form of a sale, or in the form of a refinance, then it's going to be very hard to do because she has either an entity or her children on title with her, and those people or that entity must then join her in the refinance or the sale. Now, coupled with that, con number two or problem number two is if the property is sold while mom is alive, then the proceeds from the sale must then be apportioned between mom, who is the life tenant, and her children or the trust, who would be then the remainderment. And if mom is in her 80s or 90s, she would be entitled to a small portion of the proceeds from the sale, and then the rest would have to go to that entity or those individuals that are on title with her. And there will be a capital gain at that point with respect to the portion that goes to her children or to the trust. So that's problem number two. Problem number three is if mom wants to then refinance for some reason, and the banks then might have a problem with the way title shows. Banks in general get very confused with life estates and then refuse to refinance the property. So those are just some of the problems that would occur with the formation of a life estate. But for me, in my practice, they are still an effective tool, especially when we're planning for Medicaid and the 5-year look-back period. Now, make sure that you subscribe to my channel in the lower right-hand corner. Check out some of my previous videos in the links below in the description. And some of my other lists will be showing up here, some other related videos. Make sure you watch those as well. Dave Ceruolo, CeruoloLaw.com.